Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Meet the Judge. And I'm delighted this evening to be joined by one of the most knowledgeable and multifaceted judges that we know, Paula Heikkinen-Lehkonen, who not only is a superb breeder of Fox Terriers under the Wolfheart prefix, also is a All Breeds FCI judge, but also a qualified journalist and a superb photographer. So, welcome, Paula.
Hello, good
How
evening.
are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. And as we were just discussing before we went live, today is midsummer in Finland. So, before
Yes.
we start, just give us a little background into how important it is in Finland. I understand um, in ancient times, it was to appease or celebrate the god of thunder and rain so that your harvest was good.
Well, actually, this is the longest day,
Hmm.
so the sun does not go down. So I think that comes from the pagan uh,
Mm.
era, and people just want to enjoy, and because summer is very short here,
Hmm.
so this is this is the best time of the year if the weather is good, and now it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it looks it. And
Yeah,
to be,
people go to the summer cottages, and they have sauna, and
mm.
they grill and swim and things like that.
and do young women still try to see who their future husbands are going to be?
Yeah, there are old magics.
Yes, I read up a little bit. So,
Yeah, good.
just to get started, so what was your first breed and what drew you to the sport of dogs?
Well, my first dog was a wirehead fox terrier. It was born in 1961, and um, actually my parents were not doggy people at all,
Okay.
and after a long long time asking for a dog, I finally got it. And actually, um, Eva Resko, if you know
Mm-hmm.
her,
Mm-hmm.
she a very famous beagle breeder. She was living in the same house as me, and she got her first dog some months before me. So we started together, and we are still friends after all these years.
Wow, that's very good. And why dog showing?
What?
Why did you decide to start showing dogs?
Well, I just wanted to do everything. I trained my dog for obedience, and I took part of the Earth Dog tests and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But actually, my first dog was not a star, and was not very successful. But still, that was the start, and I learned a lot
Okay.
with him.
Mm. And if you hadn't chosen to show dogs, do you think you would have gone into any other sort of animal sport or any other sport?
Well, if I was not showing dogs, I think I would do the same things as I do now, taking photos, writing,
Mm.
maybe painting, because I was studying art.
Okay.
But the dogs were more powerful.
Okay. Okay. So, what was your first championship judging appointment, and what was the breed?
It was a Finnish Terrier Club show, must be 77, 78, something like that. and it was Fox Terriers, because
Okay.
we still have to start with
Mm.
your own breed.
And that was CACs?
Yes, yes. Yes, we don't have
So
so
did
many.
you have to do exams?
Most of our shows are with CCs. There are not so many unofficial shows.
Okay. So you would have had to do exams then, yes?
Yes, yes, yes. It is first there is this basic education for judges, and then every breed must be there must be exam. Only very rare breeds you can have without exams. It is
Okay.
big pictures and reading and training, so on. But anyway, we have a lot of breeds here in Finland, and to become a judge, you really have to know something.
Yes, yes, yes.
You really have to study.
And how long did it take you, or when did you achieve all breed status?
It took 20 years.
20 years. Yeah.
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 And I was
Um,
working very hard, but still some people think it was quickly. But the old
no.
all-rounders, they got the all-roundership. I don't say easier, but it was different time because we
Yes.
didn't have so many breeds then. But now it's coming more and more all the time.
And how many countries have you judged in now around the world?
50, more than 50.
More than 50. That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Um, and of those, do you have a favorite country to judge in?
Well, I have to say Scandinavia because the
Okay.
shows in Scandinavia are well organized,
Mm.
usually big, and the quality of the dogs is good. Ring stewards are very well educated, and the exhibitors are behaving well. Maybe I'm just used to Scandinavia, but anyway, of course, it's always interesting to go to a new country and see new dogs and new people. But actually, here, if we have an all breed show, less than 2,000 dogs, it is a small show.
But it is quite true that Scandinavian shows are very, very, very well run. And Jose last week, he was saying the very same thing. And his favorite show was Stockholm Winners, which is is always a very spectacular show. So they do put on good shows in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite breed to judge aside from Fox Terriers?
Well, terriers in general, but I used to have Springer Spaniels and Dachshunds as well. So
All right.
Spaniels also and Dachshunds are my favorite. But always when you start with a new breed, even if you think that it's not interesting, when you start to study it and get to know about it more and more, it becomes interesting. There are many
Yes.
interesting things in any breed.
I think a lot of terrier people like judging gun dogs, Group 8 or Group 7, because they're quite the same in that they're very honest, well constructed dogs in general.
Yeah, they are normal dogs usually.
And is there a breed you dislike judging?
No, I don't say dislike. I can't say that, but some breeds are more difficult.
Yes.
I think it's the most difficult one.
Which?
Pekingese is the most
Yes.
difficult.
Yeah. Yes, they can be. Yeah. They're very, very different.
Yeah.
And is there a particular fault in a dog that irritates you?
Exaggeration in every way. It's there are this trend nowadays that people think that more and more of something is better and better,
Yeah.
but it is not. And they run faster in the ring. They put all kind of stuff on the coat, and well,
Yeah.
I think that the dogs should look natural. And well, at least over here, it's forbidden to use
Hmm.
any uh, preparations, any any stuff on the coat, and people mostly obey it. And I don't like it that every country should is creating their own type.
Mm. But do you?
Dogs should be natural.
Yes, yes. And you make an interesting point as well, because you're quite right. More and more in the world, when you're judging, you see people running with Group 9 breeds, or
Yeah,
and, you know, sometimes the poor dogs can't keep up, and it's not natural.
yeah, yeah. Maybe it's because usually Group 9, the first one who comes in is the standard poodle, and it's bigger than the others. So the others, the small ones, try to keep up with the standard poodle, and then
Mm.
they have to run. But it is not the normal way of moving.
Yes, yes. Okay. Um, so, in your judging career, is there a dog that you've judged? What is the best dog you have judged in your opinion? And if you just speak up slightly, Paula, because there are a few people not hearing you perfectly.
Oh, I don't know what to do.
Well, if you just
I
maybe just speak up a little.
okay. I try to. Well, there are more than one. Uh, there, I was thinking which dogs are the most impressive that I have
Mm.
judged, but there are quite many in different parts of the world. But I remember it must have been something like 97, 98, something like that. I was it was in northern Sweden, 2 days.
Okay.
One show on Saturday and the other one on Sunday. And I was best in show judge on Saturday, and I was watching the what the other judges
Mm.
chose as group winners, and I thought that well, this will be difficult to choose the best in show winner because they were more or less equal. There was
Okay.
nothing
Yeah.
standing out. But then the group 10, the Sighthounds, the last one who came in, um, it was a big grass field, sunny day, very nice in the summer. And there was this black Saluki dog who came in with a young lady. And I was just,
Mm.
what is that? I had never seen the dog before. And that was easy. He was the best in show winner. Elhamra Farrar was his name.
Okay.
And when I gave the rosette to the best in show, the big red rosette to the girl, she said, "Kiitos." That is thank you in
Yes.
Finnish. And are you Finnish? I asked her, and the dog was already 4 or 5 years old, but it was not shown much. But that was kind of start
Mm.
with his success. He became next year. He became dog of the year in Finland, and
Wow.
of course on Sunday in that show, that weekend on Sunday, he was also best in show. He was big dog, but he was so
Impressive.
majestic.
Yes.
Yeah, and also there has been some other Salukis in Finland. Uh, Aziz Jalil and her daughter Shalil, they were also so beautiful. And well, in Sighthounds, once I was in Sicily, in Italy. That was also quite a long time ago. And the last breed which came on that day, that was Greyhound. And there was this blonde lady who was speaking Swedish.
Okay.
Yeah, and she had three. And the last one, a champion class bitch, Brindle bitch, was so beautiful. I got tears in my eyes.
Mm.
That was, I didn't know her then, but it was Bitte Arens, Primavera. She lives in Italy. She's married to an Italian guy. And her grandmother already bred Sighthounds. And of course, she knew that I could speak Swedish. So she spoke Swedish to me. But that somebody else, I can't remember who, was doing the Sighthound group. And I was trying to, the greyhound.
Yeah.
And of course, she won the group and became best in show. It was Sobers Cadelia.
It is an amazing feeling, isn't it, when a dog like that comes into a ring?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, in terriers, it was uh, Geir Flykt Pedersen. When he
Mm-hmm.
was still living in Sweden, he had some gorgeous terriers.
Mm.
Blackdale Starbright, the Wire, and Devereux Janor, the Welsh Terrier. They were. It must have been something like 80s,
Yes.
a long time ago. And also later on, um, Agneta Åström's Crispy Legacy and his son King Arthur won Fallin's Home, who won
Mm.
Crafts and Welsh Show, and they have been something also, because if you have a good wire which is very well
Very,
trained and
yeah.
well handled, it is hard to beat that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And is there a dog that perhaps you have admired from outside the ring that you would love to have judged but never did? I know it's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. uh, well,
Because sometimes we see dogs outside the ring and think, wow, look at that. Um,
yeah, well, one dog in America was a smooth fox terrier.
mhm.
Digit Paparazzi was his name. He he was uh, he was something that impressed me greatly.
Okay. Yeah. And
I have not judged him.
of all your judging appointments, what's your biggest achievement?
Well, difficult to say. It's I've been in many world shows, European
Mm.
shows, even crafts. Um Maybe um, the first time I was judging in England, it was Windsor. It was 88, I think. Um, that was not so usual then to judge
Yes.
in England.
No, it
I,
wasn't.
I did,
Uh,
I did for Fox Terriers then,
mm,
both
mm,
wires. That was very exciting.
mm,
And many of those old guys who are not with us anymore, they were showing
mm,
things.
mm. And just as an exhibitor, because you are still very much an exhibitor, what's your biggest achievement as an exhibitor?
I have had a couple of world winners and European winners, and well,
That's
last year in a show in Finland, in terrible rain and cold and terrible weather, I had my young smooth bitch, which is must be 13th or 14th generation of my old breeding. She was best in show in show in Finland.
well, that's a good idea.
But yeah, but it was not,
That's special.
not a very big and important show, but
No,
but still it was nice.
that's a big achievement, and particularly when it's your own breeding.
Yeah, and so many generations.
Yeah, yeah. And your most embarrassing or funniest moment when judging?
Well, that was also long time ago. There was this young girl, maybe 12 or 13 or something like that, was showing a golden retriever in a show in Finland, and the dog had only one testicle.
Okay.
And I was tried to say very nicely to the girl that unfortunately I cannot give anything to your dog because he's a monarch. And the girl didn't say anything, was just standing, and her chin was starting to tremble. And then the ring steward came, and I said to the ring steward that unfortunately this dog can't get anything because he has only one testicle. And then the girl started crying, and she was crying, and both the ring steward and I, we were, wow, what shall we do? And the ring steward said, well, it's not the dog's fault, and you can do obedience or something with the dog. And
Yeah.
and then the girl went away, and I don't know what happened. And then there was there was another incident also some years ago when Jack Russell Terriers were newly recognized, and we had a lot of these meetings when two judges must sort out which ones can be registered as Jack Russells, and most they were very different. Everyone looked different. Now they are much better, but that was a long time ago. Well, in a show, I was judging Jack Russells, and there was this lady came into the ring with a white miniature pinscher.
Okay.
It was it was
Uh-huh.
obviously supposed to be a Jack Russell, but it looked like miniature pinscher. The size and the proportions and everything, just that it was white. And that is also very difficult to say that this does not look at all
Yes.
like a terrier. And I tried to say very nicely to the lady that well, this dog can never be a show star, that it doesn't look quite like the others. And the lady said, yeah, we didn't buy her as a show dog, but there she was in the show.
Oh, I
And
love it. Brilliant.
of course was disqualified.
Yeah, of course. Somebody's just asked a question that is there a breed that's not recognized right now that you like and think should be recognized?
Well, I think that the breeds which have been in certain area for a long time, like Romanian breeds, they are not recognized, but they have been there isolated, and in this area where there were no other breeds, no other dogs that could mix with these
Yes.
breeds, and the small farmers, they didn't have money or cars or anything, and there were no specialized vets who, so that the dogs were not taken to the vet if there was something wrong. So they developed to be sound and healthy and everything. I think that is okay if this kind of breeds are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recognized. There are
Yeah.
breeds like that in other countries also, but I don't like the idea that to cross some old breeds
Uh-huh.
just to create some new ones.
Yeah. Totally
My
agree.
yeah.
Totally agree.
So in Russia, because it's such a big country and different areas,
Mm.
there are a lot of breeds which will be sooner or later recognized. But
Yes.
there has been also breeds that have been created, and now they have
Yes.
become like Black Russian Terriers or Russian toys. They have become more uniform
Mm.
during the years, although they were started as mixtures.
It's similar to Kerry Beagles in this
Yeah,
country,
yeah,
which were only in one particular part of Ireland, but now are.
mm.
I mean, they are a super hound, and
Yeah,
we recognise them now, but not FCI yet, but hopefully someday.
yeah. But they should be recognized because it's an old breed and
Mm.
not mixed with anything else. And do you know what? 100 years ago, when they more than 100 years ago, when they started to create Finnish hound
Mm-hmm.
of all the hound breeds which were here at that time, they
Yes.
imported some Kerry Beagles from
Really?
that breed. Yes, that's right.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
So it is really an old breed
Yes, it
which
is. Yes, it
should be
is.
recognized.
Yeah. Wow. So, when you started judging, um, who inspired you most?
Well, it's also difficult to say. I
Mm,
don't have a mentor, or I can't say that somebody has been teaching me everything that I have
mm,
done. I have done by myself. But of course, Eva Resko,
mm,
who's we started as kids together. We have been all the time talking and watching everything. And later on, she's now a judge also. She
mm.
started judging, but it took some time for
Yes.
her. So I think that in the beginning we had the most influence to with each other.
Mm. Okay. And um, as an FCI all breeds judge, and we've all come across this problem when we judge at home or we judge abroad. When you get an exhibitor that is very inexperienced, or perhaps a dog that is um, either inexperienced or nervous, um, and you've got a lot of dogs to judge, how do you approach them?
Well, um, I always think that you have to find the best dog, not the best handler.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can see the newcomers that
Mm.
they don't know what to do, you have to give some advice and give a second chance and make another round and do this and do that. And if the first experience is nice and they think that the judge was really paying attention to their dog,
Mm.
they maybe probably come again.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't. It's I don't like that that show organizers give too many dogs to a judge
Mm.
because you have to have time for each one, and
Yes.
there can be many newcomers who don't know what to do, and dogs who are not used to the situation and so on. And if you give a little time, they settle and behave.
Yeah. It's important that judges do that, and some don't.
Yeah.
But it is important because they paid the same money as everybody else.
Exactly, and also the owners of the bad dogs, they pay the same money as the
Yes.
owners of the good
Yeah.
ones, and you don't have you can't show that you are more interested in the good ones than the bad ones.
And you mentioned earlier that you judged Fox Terriers in the UK. Now, I know this doesn't necessarily relate to Fox Terriers, but when you're judging in other countries like the US, where sometimes standards are slightly different, how do you block out that FCI standard and judge to what they want?
Well, it is difficult because when you have learned to think this is good, you think this is good and that is bad. But of course, in those countries where they have different standards, you have to read it, and if there are, for example, some colors that are not accepted by FCI, you have to
Yes.
them. But basically, I feel very strongly about this, that you should always follow the country of the origin. Nobody has any right to change the standard.
No, you're quite right.
Country.
You're quite right.
Of course, there are some breeds like Pekingese and Pugs. They originated from China, but the standards have been written by UK. But anyway,
but you're right.
Those countries who are responsible for the breed, they write the standard, and nobody else has any right to change it.
You are absolutely correct. And when you started judging, what was the best piece of advice that you were given?
Well, I think this can be that you have to trust your own eyes. You have to trust what you see. And even if you are judging in your home country, you know people and you know the dogs. You don't let that influence you. You have to trust what you see.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
And as you say, particularly when you're judging in your own country, where you know everybody, and 5 of your friends could be showing under you on the same day, you've got to be true to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so true. And is that the advice that you would give new judges?
Yes, and also this, that you have to try to find the best dog, not the best handler.
Yeah.
And I think especially in terriers and other breeds which need trimming and grooming and so on, if the judge does not know how to do it, he can be easily fooled.
Yes. Presentation breeds.
Because there are so many professional skills in these breeds. People who know what to do to make the dog look better.
Yeah. That is so true. So true. So I know in a lot of countries, including here, it is difficult to get young people into the breed, into dog showing, or to keep the young people that we have showing dogs. How do you think we should do that?
Well, it's not here the same
Really?
situation. We can
Really?
have for example, junior handlers in
Yes.
the Helsinki Winner Show. There can be 100 of them,
Wow.
and yeah, and mostly you see a lot of young people, especially young girls, uh, showing dogs and
Hmm.
handling other people's dogs.
And how do you do
I
that?
don't know. It's I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe we did something right.
well, obviously. Because
Yeah,
sometimes countries struggle to keep, because there are so many outside distractions nowadays. It's not like when I was growing up or you were growing up that, that now they have computers and PlayStations and
yeah,
football and all sorts of things that it is more difficult to keep them interested. Um,
yeah,
so that's very interesting because
but
Finland is population wise for the size of the country is not
yeah,
huge. So that's very interesting.
it is, yes. And for example, now uh, during this difficult time
Yes.
with the corona and everything, and people are staying at home and they are working from home, and many are unemployed or
Yes.
something. The demand for the puppies is bigger than ever.
Oh, same here.
Ah,
Same here.
yeah. Maybe people have time
Mm.
and they want something to walk with and do something.
Yeah. But it begs the question, what did they do with the dog when they go back to work?
Yeah,
You know? But yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting because, as I say, it is the same here. Rita is getting maybe 10 inquiries a day for Yorkshire Terriers.
oh,
Clean and my daughter is getting 5 and 6 for Bichon Frise. And it's the same, you can see people on Facebook all over the place saying, we so many inquiries.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Also here, it's I don't know why, but most about 80%, 70-80% of all the dog population in Finland are pedigree dogs.
Mm. Oh, that's good. That's good. So that's not the same as the
They
rest
do
of the world.
something. No, no.
Mm. Mm. Okay. And critiquing, um, how do you approach critiquing dogs, and do you see them valuable?
That is the most valuable thing. That is the meaning of the shows. That, of course, um, we have a lot of exhibitors who know perfectly well that the dog is not a star, but they just want to go to the shows and they kind of collect critiques from
Mm.
different judges, and then they read it, and if the judge has said the right things,
Mm.
they think they say that yeah, okay, and those who are starting, and if all the judges say about right about the same things, they will understand that they will learn something.
Mm.
But of course it's demanding for the judges because the
Yes.
experienced breeders see immediately if you know what you are talking about or not.
Mm.
And I don't like actually to judge in the countries where there is no critiquing, because um, if you have a bad class,
Yes.
only bad dogs who you normally would get good or sufficient or something, you still have to place them,
Yes.
and that one who is less bad than the others is winning,
Mm.
and the owner starts to think that I must have a star because it's winning all the time. And on the other hand, if you have a big class, high quality, all excellent
Mm.
quality of dogs, but you can't place all of them, you only have to place 4 5,
Mm.
something like that, and those who are not placed, they have to go out without anything, and then
It's a very valid
you have
point.
to have some way to say that this is also a very nice dog, but now today it was not in the condition, or these were slightly better in this and that and so on. So I think it's really important.
And
And
just
there has been now pressure for the show organizers that the judges should take more dogs and without critiques, because it goes quickly. But I'm sure that it will lead to the point that there will be less and less and less exhibitors.
and how important do you think it is that when you're giving a dog a very good or a lower grade, that you must say why?
Yeah, that is the most important thing, that the exhibitor, the owner, understands why the dog got whatever it got. If the, there are some good points and some faults, you have to say, well, we Finns are known to be straightforward. We say things as they are,
Yes.
and some people think that is rude, but we think that is honest. And you have to say what is wrong with the dog. It will give a lower
And
grading.
just expanding now on critiquing, etc. I know in Scandinavia you have CQs, which we don't have here, but a lot of people would like. Do you
Yeah.
find them helpful?
Yes. Yes. Next year we will start with the junior CCs and veteran
Okay.
CCs. And in Baltic countries, they had it already for a long time. And I was kind of laughing at people who went to the Baltic countries to get a junior champion or veteran champion. But when I was judging there, big breeds like bull mastiffs and things like that, then I found it it's not so bad idea. It's quite good. You can give a junior CC to a young bull mastiff or something like that, and it shows that you think this is promising, this is nice for this age, but it is not yet fully developed. It is not yet
Yes.
champion quality, but it is junior champion. I think it's not so bad idea.
And CKs in bigger classes, in other
Yeah,
classes,
yeah,
you like that system, yes?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Because it's
Okay.
a dog can be good dog, nothing really wrong, but it is not outstanding.
Hmm.
And
Yes,
CQ
yes.
is kind of extra excellent.
Hmm. And what advice would you give people who may be going away on their first international appointment with critiques? How would you tell them to approach critiquing?
Well, you should start with the general impression,
Hmm.
something like big, strong, masculine dog, a little bit long in the body, something like
Hmm.
that, to tell what is the first impression of the dog, and then go to the details: the head,
Hmm.
ears, eyes, neck, top line, angulation, then something of the color and coat and movement, anything that is important in this breed.
Hmm.
But it's better to start with the general impression.
Yeah. And when you have, as we all have from time to time, when you have that one dog that is really bad, and
Yeah.
you can't be so critical about it that you
Well,
have to say something nice.
yeah, of course. But if the dog is of wrong type,
Hmm.
you have to say it. It's
Yes.
foreign type. this is not what we are looking for.
Okay.
Something you can say it politely and nicely,
Yes.
and explain people. But I think that you have to be honest.
I think that's very important. Yeah. And do you think now that, particularly with the current situation we have with various breeds, do you think judges understand the role they have, or the important role they have in influencing the development of breeds?
Well, at least over here they do. But well, of course there are good judges and bad judges, and good dogs and bad dogs, and good breeders and bad breeders in every country. It's but of course when you judge a lot, and in different countries you can see different kind of dogs, and you have seen the top dogs of the world and so on. So
But Scandinavia has.
you can. Yes, we have had a lot of education and meetings and seminars for the judges about the health issues, because that is the issue right now, and it depends on the breed club which tests they want to have done before mating and so on. But
And Scandinavia has been one of the success stories, more or less, in terms of health, but particularly in sort of, I mean, bulldogs are in very good shape in Scandinavia. And I remember Clumbers years ago, and I mean, back in early 2000s, they had serious eye problems. And yet when I judged them then later, the Scandinavia had almost eradicated it.
Yeah, I think that over here, because we are very open about these problems, and people know about them, the breeders know about them, and they understand what is important. So of course it takes time, and now there is this problem with the short muzzle breeds everywhere, but they are old breeds. It took centuries to develop them like as they are now, but it can't be undone in one generation. It takes time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And moving on to your other I won't call it hobby, because it's not a hobby. You are a journalist and a photographer. So as a photographer, how do you capture the essence or character of a breed or a particular dog you are photographing? Because you are a very good photographer.
Well, in the shows, there's not always time enough to do that, and the background there can be people sitting and things, and the sun is on wrong direction and so on. So there is not time enough usually. But of course, you have to know about the breeds. You have to know from which direction this breed looks better.
Yes.
And what do you want? Well, the common mistake people do when they are photographing dogs, that they stand, especially tall men, when they stand and the dog is small, then the whole perspective is wrong. If you are taking pictures of Chihuahua or Dachshund, you have to lie down.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's very good. And as a breeder and a judge, how do you think we can protect our sport from the pressure we're under from governments, and the pressure we're under from other outside organizations. Do you think we can?
Well, yeah, the at least in some countries it's more difficult than some others. But well, my husband happens to be the president of of the Finnish Kennel Club right now, and he has been
Okay.
several times meeting the members of parliament and to talk about this, uh, for example, the animal welfare law
Yeah.
that the Kennel Club wants there to be, and also this short-muzzled breeds that what could be done, and I think that especially these short-muzzled breeds in many countries, it is people who don't know really about these things. It is emotional question, and
Yes.
they say that these breeds must not be bred anymore. But of course, if the Kennel Club does not register this kind of dogs, people breed them anyway because there's a lot of demand.
You're quite right.
They import them from countries where there are no health checks and something. But I think that over here they understand. It was actually the same thing with the tail docking ban.
Mm.
That
Yes.
they it's the politicians who decide, not the kennel clubs,
Yeah.
and they have a wrong idea about the whole thing.
Mm.
But
Okay, Paula, sorry, I'm going to interrupt there for a second. People are still having a little difficulty hearing you. Can you just move the microphone closer to your and just speak a little louder? Because what you're saying is very important.
okay. Yeah, well, yes, I think that the kennel clubs
Mm.
should contact politicians
Mm.
and make clear what is
Mm.
our idea, and this is because if the kennel clubs don't register these dogs, it is not the end of these breeds.
You're right,
People
quite
buy
right.
them anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
and they breed them anyway, and that is much better that they have pedigrees. Then we know where they come from
yes,
and who are the parents, and what is the background.
yeah. And
I think that there are always some members of parliament who have dogs, and
mm,
so the dog people should contact them first and try to
that's a very valid point, actually. Yes, yes.
yeah.
And as a journalist, do you think there's enough lobbying being done by the international kennel clubs on this subject? And by that I mean the really big kennel clubs, FCI, AKC, Kennel Club London. Are they doing enough?
Well, there could be always more.
Mm,
And, yeah. The problem is that the politicians they follow the voters and what they think that will um, give them influence and votes. So they should get the right information, the
mm,
correct information, and why this and this breed is like it is. And the funny thing is that they always are this talk about the health issues of pedigree dogs,
mm,
but actually most of the illnesses dogs have also human beings have, and they are also living, some better, some worse. they are marrying and getting children, and if we
You're
were
quite right.
pedigree dogs, how many of us would do?
You are quite right. That is so true.
Yeah, it's good that the dogs are checked, but if there are no symptoms, if the dog is doing fine and it's old and so on, is there really so big problems?
Mm. Mm.
But of course, it depends on the breed. It's well, fox terriers are usually very healthy and long
Yes,
living.
yes, yes, you are, yes. Um, so final question, Paula. As a very popular judge and exhibitor, how are you coping with no dog shows? Are you missing them or are you enjoying the break?
Well, I'm missing. It's well, of course, we can have we have done a lot of things here at home in the
Mm.
house and yard, which is good because
Mm.
otherwise we would never have time to do that. But meeting people,
Mm.
it's that's what I miss most.
Mm. Mm.
It's
Yeah.
all my friends are there in the shows.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It is hard.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I want to thank you for this evening. It's been fascinating
Thank you.
and very enjoyable.
This
I hope you enjoy the rest of your midsummer.
yeah,
It doesn't
yes,
get
thank you.
it doesn't get dark tonight at all, does it?
No, it's
No.
this is sun is shining all the time. Well,
Yeah.
not shining, but it's not going down really down. We used to have a show in the at the Arctic Circle,
Mm.
uh, midsummer
Mm.
show. It started in the afternoon, and the best in show was chosen at 12 o'clock. But of course, it's
Only in Finland. Well, as I say, it's been absolutely fascinating. I hope you stay well and stay safe. Our love to
yeah,
everybody in Finland, and we hope to see you soon. And
yeah, yeah. Me too.
next week, my guest will be Francesco Caccetti from Israel. So
Ah,
same time, 7 p.m. And I hope to see you all then. In the meantime, good night, Paula.
he's good night. Thank you.
Okay.